But let's have on John Maakaron, the doc. He's waiting. So let's welcome in the doc. He had a busy day today, huh? Hulk Hogan. I mean, he was. Hey, he did a lot today. Doc was on the move. So we're gonna have him on to break it all down. So please welcome to the show, publisher of Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated and host of the Detroit Sports Podcast, man who joins us every single Wednesday, Mr. John Maakaron. John, welcome to the program. How you doing?
Yes, sir, fellas. It's back. Football's back. I was excited. Man, it felt good to be around Dan Campbell and his brand new big Meyer lectern. It's great, man. It's great to be back. First and foremost, I'm thankful that you guys are still broadcasting. I thought for a second some bullshit that I spewed got you kicked off, but some bullshit that you guys did got you in trouble. You'll figure it out, hopefully, and get all resolved.
Hey, John, that we may or may not have done.
It's all accusations at this point.
May not, John. Proven innocent until proven guilty.
Till someone proves us wrong or proves us guilty.
we got our lawyers working for us. There's an appeal in progress.
I may or may not be the head lawyer.
We got OJ's lawyer team right now. That's who we got. Ain't no way we're guilty.
Doc, you made up for a lot of it. We were fighting some adversity today. It was a rough day, but guess what? We're ready. We're locked in. We're excited to talk some training camp. Doc, you were there. You guys can go check out. I mean, Doc had some one-on-ones with some players, man. Guys, if you want insight, go check it out. Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. I mean, Doc, you talked with a bunch of players. Your experience at training camp, we'll start with some of the one-on-one conversations. Could you go through and talk to the chat about that?
Yeah, no doubt. It was great. Practice. I love the ramp-up period. It's 90 minutes, and, part of it is just, the stretching and individual drills. And then, some team periods. That we got a chance to see Hendon Hooker, Jared Goff, Jameson Williams, which I know we're going to talk about. And so quickly, an hour and a half goes by, and then after practice, we get the opportunity to talk to players. And the first player that I got a chance to talk to was Emmanuel Mosley. And a small group of reporters wanted to talk to him, obviously, because he's coming back now. We finally get to see him. And where do we see him? He was playing nickel. And it was really interesting and intriguing to look at, because he said that he kind of finds it intriguing because you get to be a little bit more physical, a little bit more pop in the action. And he said that, look, a reporter asked him if he's going to play that spot. And he said, look, he's going to play all over to learn the defense and to get acclimated. But, really just on a personal level, it was good to see kind of the sense of relief that he had from doing all the work that he did to rehab for 2 years to get back on the field. And you could just get a sense of, okay, he reached another milestone in his development after coming back from 2 ACL injuries. That's a grind, man. Not only dealing with it once, but twice. And he just said that he leaned on friends, former players that have dealt with the same thing, and he's ready. He said also, I asked him when a couple of the reporters walked away, I said, what are your goals? What do you want to kind of accomplish? And he said that he wants to not only be a significant member of the roster, but he wants to be a leader. He wants to let his play do the talking. And now you have another option behind Amik Robertson and Brian Branch that if he can stay healthy, he can provide some unique matchup opportunities, a guy that can really play strong man-to-man. So that's just another option. You hope, really outside of performance, you hope he can stay healthy. And then, like I said, my mission this year is to get around and talk to more players, get some insight, and give you guys more insight into what these players are thinking. The worst they can say is no, but it's the first day of camp, so they were all excited to talk to me. So I talked to Hendon Hooker, right? He was walking off the field, and I just asked him, hey, how'd you feel your day went? Because we saw the 3 players that I posted that impressed me were Aiden Hutchinson and Jameson Williams and Hendon Hooker. And yeah, it was a shaky start, but he was zipping the ball all over the place. It kind of was like, for a moment, the light switch went on, and he was just dropping back, throwing the ball to where it needed to be. And he kind of had himself one of his better practices. So I asked him, talked to him about it. He said that part of his work with Teddy Bridgewater was to learn to kind of command the huddle a lot more and a lot more understanding of, hey, this is where the timing needs to be on these routes. Make your read and pull the trigger and make the throw. And he looked a lot better. Zipped the ball. It kind of felt like you saw him gaining confidence as the practice went on. But look, even though it's a non-padded practice, any opportunity for a player like Hendon Hooker to have some success, it was great. So it's always fun to talk to the players. I also talked to Isaiah Williams. I'm going to write that up next day or two as I get some more information, but he's hungry. He's a wide receiver that's hungry to earn a spot, kind of feeling the sting of not being drafted, but he kind of knows too that he's behind the 8 ball a little bit, but he's doing the work, the extra work needed to try and make up for the fact that he's probably, fighting for a roster spot. So I got around today, and obviously, clearly, you saw who spoke to the general masses with St. Brown, Montgomery, and Taylor Decker. But it was a great opportunity out there. I was so excited. And now year 6, you're just comfortable. Like, early on when you're reporting, you get nervous to ask these players, hey, do you want to talk for a minute? But hey, if they say no, okay, you get it. You understand that they have certain days that they are allotted to talk to the media, and some days they don't want to talk. So you just move on to the next opportunity. And I just think that in this situation, now in year 6, I'm comfortable. I want to ask and bring the readers that come to SI some more insight into what's going on with the players. And that's what we're going to try to do each and every day as much as possible. But day 1, a success, professional day, but highlighted by what everybody wants to talk about. J-Mo and Aiden had themselves a day.
Yeah, Doc, that's exactly what I want to ask you here is the whole story going around Twitter right now. The first guy I think that's been the biggest is Jameson Williams. And he's been obviously for 2 years been going through it with injuries and the suspension, different things. And it feels like finally he's breaking through. What did he look like out there today? And kind of what's the future hold for Jameson Williams after day 1 that we saw?
Yeah, man, did you see how he cooked Terrion? Terrion's done.
Hey, we're not spreading that narrative, Doc.
Hey, Doc.
None of that.
Okay, let's focus on Jameson Williams, because you did see in the Rookie Chronicles that Terrion said, hey guys, wait a minute. Let's not assess me as being someone that can't cover off of that. Look, guys, it's not full speed. You clearly realize that, hey, J-Mo turned on the Jets and he wanted to make a play. So you give him credit. Clearly there's some things for show that go on, and you saw it with Xavier Worthy, with the Chiefs and things like that. But look, let's just say this. Clearly the work that Jameson Williams has done away from the field has paid dividends. You're going to see he looks stronger, he looks crisper, and he looks like, okay, it's not like, and here's the way I would describe it. Early on, when you're given so many routes and you have to understand so many things about the defense, you get into your head too much. You're thinking too much. So whenever you're thinking, that just naturally slows you down, and it makes you not be the best that you can be. What comes with more confidence, with more experience, is the ability to be more comfortable. And that's the word I want to use to describe what Jameson Williams was today. He was comfortable. He understood where he needed to be on each and every route, and Jared found him. And it was nice to see early on a deep ball gets past Iffy and Terrion Arnold and blows past him, and he runs into the end zone. That's just confidence for him. And, I'm curious what he ate that made him puke all over the place. He said he ate something in the morning. Hopefully it wasn't a Egg McMuffin or something not greasy that kind of did not
ice cream on top of it. No,
yeah,
way.
Something. Hopefully you got to realize eggs and bacon. You got to get your protein in, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. But look, he brushed it off, and we saw a player that, look, if he can show that confidence and stack days, you have a wide receiver that can be, and I'll say it's clear. You have a receiver that you can expect to kind of be on the level of a Justin Jefferson. A number 1, takes the top off of defense, can be a go-to guy when you need big plays. And hey, if you get that, if he builds confidence, look out. And number 1 thing is not too many drops that I saw. And look, it's day 1, but what a nice start for Jameson Williams. That's the start everybody wants to see. And so we report on it. It was a good day for Jameson Williams.
Love to hear it.
Justin Jefferson, Doc. High praise, but love having you on, especially this time of the season, Doc. You'll be our boots on the ground, our eyes in the skies for it. But it's kind of going along with the J-Mo combo. And it's something that I genuinely am not worried, but I'm interested to see because I don't have the most confidence in it. What's your confidence level in Jared Goff to be able to hit J-Mo deep consistently this year? Because Booner brought up earlier, he was able to hit DJ Chark down the field, especially stretching it on the perimeter, which the Lions lacked last year. So what's your confidence level on Goff and J-Mo actually being able to connect on that consistently?
Yeah, look, it's key. And you hope that that level of connection can be established, because that can clearly help the rest of the offense. But look, I know it's a big deal, the deep explosive plays, really those moments when you can get behind a defense, but he's going to draw some attention. So you look at what makes a receiver great is also the ability to catch underneath routes. You saw what he did in the NFC title game. You can use him in so many different ways that he can be a weapon. So look, it's going to be tough, because I do think that secondaries are clearly going to emphasize, don't let in a Tampa 2 system, you don't let people get behind you. And there's certain defensive backs that can clearly establish that by being physical and having their way to try and limit Jameson Williams. But I'll say this, there's going to be moments you saw, in key games last year when Jared Goff needed to start to make a comeback. Kind of the first guy he started targeting was Jameson Williams. And you realize, look, those moments where he can be explosive, you can't teach that speed. He'll have his moments, but can Jared Goff connect with Jameson? It's yet to be determined because there's so many factors that result in a deep play happening. But you do realize a good sign is the Lions are talking about it. They're talking about one aspect of this offense they want to do better is more explosive plays. And that can also mean for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jared Goff, look, I think at this point you can stop setting me up to rip on Jared Goff. He deserves everybody's confidence that, look, he can run this offense and handle things to the degree that this team can win games and score points. Now, is one of his strengths the deep ball? Look, I think, when the offensive line blocks and the route presents itself, the one thing that he's got to do better at is be willing to pull the trigger. And with a better defense, I think he might take some more chances. Maybe his interception total slightly rises this year, but I think that he can trust the defense to kind of step up a little bit. If they can showcase their improvement, then he doesn't have to kind of be so much afraid of the turnover. I think that Jared Goff is an above average quarterback that can lead this football team. But the deep ball, we got to wait and see, and we got to see it more consistently. And guess what? We're going to find out pretty quickly because guess what? The pads come on Monday, and that's That's the exciting time of the year when we can see, okay, the secondary is going to start to put forth their biggest effort against the wide receivers here. And let's see if Jameson can handle the physicality of Carlton Davis, because I think that Davis is going to be so keen in. He wants to keen in on trying to stop J-Mo and prove to himself that he can stop a top flight wide receiver.
Yeah, Doc, I'll ask you, and we talked about a little before you joined, but some of the guys that are dealing with some injuries that are coming back. I know Davenport's healthy. He's ahead of schedule, and Branch is back. What are some things you're looking forward to see with Marcus Davenport now being healthy? And how do you think he's a guy that I think a lot of people are going to pay attention to once the pads come on?
Yeah, no doubt. People want to see that. Can he return to form from a couple years ago? Injuries have plagued him the last couple years. Didn't get a whole lot of production from his time with the Vikings. But look, Davenport has the ability with his pass rush to kind of do some things. He can be somebody that can draw some attention away from Lee McNeil as well. Look, in the end, you're looking for somebody that can be consistent, that can maintain gap responsibility, understand that, hey, the opportunities that are there for this defensive line to get pressure. And first and foremost, what they excelled at last year, they really showed that he can stop the run. So if Davenport can get out there and be that situational pass rusher when you need it and win battles, then you have a great opportunity as well. But it's tough because we haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of them just yet out on the field. But when we do, if he's healthy, you're going to get a violent pass rusher that knows how to be savvy and knows how to get to the quarterback. And that's what the Lions are looking for. At the same token, don't sleep on the others as well. Mekhi Wingo, James Houston. There's going to be some of those individuals that will be given opportunities to win that, quote unquote, opportunity to play opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. But Marcus Davenport, look, in the end, what the Lions looked for, they didn't go after the high end. Maybe you and I would have said, maybe you go after Daniil Hunter, who is a proven double-digit sack artist and is just the guy that ended up going to the AFC. But you recognize that in a situation in which you need a player that can contribute, sometimes you go with low risk, high upside. And that's what the Lions did with Davenport. Let's just hope he can stay healthy, because if he does, I think you can start to kind of pencil him in as somebody that can really be integral in the success of the defensive line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Klotz loves it. Doc, other side of the ball, I just want to hear the defensive player of the year, future defensive player of the year, Aiden Hutchinson. I want to hear how kind of you thought he did today. I read a couple articles throughout the day that sounded like he was dominant, and he looks like he's a different player. And coming off 11.5 sack season with multiple in the playoffs, led the playoffs in sacks. you would think that this is the year he takes that jump. Did it look like that today? To see is the hype real?
And he wasn't hurt, Doc. He wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was healthy. He was active.
Yeah.
He was active.
The rumors say.
Okay, memo for next week. You could say, I read your detailed article.
I read your detailed article, Doc.
Yeah. Or I know you probably skimmed it and tried to see if there's any audio version of it. But let me tell you what I wrote. Being that if you're taking notice, I had the observations up first from the beat reporters as I was feverishly typing as I got back there. Let me tell you what I saw. I was impressed, man. There was a 3-snap stretch where if the pads were on, he would have lit up Jared Goff. He would have blown up the pass protection, and he would have been in the backfield destroying the quarterback. Look, he looks stronger. He looks faster. He looked like a man on a mission in those 3 reps. And look, it's early on. It's hard to decipher exactly what's going on with the defensive line because they're not exactly physical here to the umph degree. They're working. They're trying to, get through their techniques in pass blocking. But Aiden Hutchinson got to the ball, and he was around the action. That's all you could ask for. So I'm going to say this. Aiden had a great day. Look, all you can ask for, and this was great too because Dan Campbell indicated what he wanted to see. He said, when I first got here in 2000, and that's what I saw, which was crazy because that's what Lions football always looked like in 2021. Balls on the ground, false starts. Everything looked disastrously sloppy. And I just said more of the same in 2021. I'm like, oh my God. But then as the team got better, practices looked better. They looked crisper. The execution of the plays, the mistakes that were made lessened. So he said now in 2024, he expects this football team to look like a team that understands all the concepts, all the players that have been through so many of the meetings should understand what's going on. And that's what's happening. And it's so great to see a player like Aiden Hutchinson now take advantage of this, take advantage of what he's supposed to do. And defensively, what's his job? Win battles, get to the quarterback, show speed, and break up plays. And that's what we're going to start to see. And we saw that on Wednesday. So it was a great first day for Aiden. I think he's ready to go. And I think a lot of the players are ready to go. And look, Dan Campbell said he kind of, if the Lions were asked to play a football game right now, could they go out there and execute? Yeah. Would it be exactly perfect? No. But he expects this football team to go out there and execute at a high level right from jump. And I think the biggest thing that I took away from today, I was so proud. Amon-Ra St. Brown looked into the microphone, and if you peek, you can kind of see myself kind of walk up late. He looks into the camera and says, we can win the Super Bowl, and we all believe it. And this is the goal. We're talking about it. It's the mission. This is the goal. This is the only goal. And this is finally where this football team needs to be. And finally, we can talk about, hey, you did this well, but can you do it better? You made a first down, but why didn't you get a couple more yards after the catch? Hey, Aiden Hutchinson, you made this move. Why didn't you, make this play in this situation so that when the time comes in the postseason, this team can execute at the highest level? This team's hungry, and they're talking about it. This team's talking about it and talking about it confidently. The belief is there. They can win the Super Bowl. And it's great to be around. The confidence and the swagger, you can feel it. It's palpable. You guys, you're going to see it when you get out there.
Cannot wait.
Doc, it's time. We need a kicker update. The Money Badger, Jake Bates, is the talk of the town when Jake Bates got brought in here. But you just brought up the Super Bowl hopes and aspirations. Couldn't get that one out. But people think that the kicker position is something that if they improve on, really helps their chances to get back to the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl. What did you see out there from the kickers today?
Well, they didn't do a whole heck of a lot. They did some special teams drills. They were standing there. I just got at my first look. They did not do any kicks, no field goal competitions, nothing at all. It's a ramp-up period. So the update regarding the kickers will have to wait, but you're absolutely right. I think the biggest question mark is going to be, and I'm sure at some point in camp, it'll be addressed when we start to see a little bit more. The question is going to be, Dan, with a better kicker or with a kicker that you trust a little bit more, are you going to be willing to take some points instead of going for it on fourth down? And I think he'll give the standard answer, which is, it depends on the situation, but he leans more toward being aggressive, but he could, in certain situations, take some points. So look, it's going to be a great battle to watch. You have the traditional big leg kicker, but doesn't have a lot of experience in the league. But guys, this is the reason why and I heard it being talked about and put in a good way this morning. Special teams coaches, just like any coach, wants to rely on people that they know and trust. Well, right now, they know that Badgley, they know exactly his range to a T. They know where he can make it from and where he can't. And so for Jake Bates to get this job, he's going to have to overwhelm and dominate this competition. And he's going to have to be consistent. He'll be given the chance. And when the competition starts, he's got to win it. And it'll be interesting to see when it starts, how far back they're going to do the kicking competitions. But when it happens, check out All Lions. Check out Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated as we report what goes on with the kicking competition. Got to wait and see.
Doc, I'll ask you this. We need a rookie update. So some of the rookies, you mentioned Mekhi Wingo, but even the other guys, could you give kind of an update on the rookies? And you mentioned a little bit of Terry and Arnold. I know we kind of hinted at him at the beginning, but just kind of go through how the rookies look today.
Yep. Yeah, it was great. One of the things that we always are going to pay attention to is where people are lining up. Clearly, everybody saw that Brian Branch is back, which was great. You saw him at safety. But now as well, the opportunity that has been presented with Carlton Davis being out is we got a chance to see a little bit of Ennis Rakestraw on the outside. And look, you see a guy that potentially, watching his college film again and seeing what he can do in certain spots against certain opponents, you have an opportunity there to have Ennis Rakestraw play on the outside and have some confidence that he can be physical, that he can match up and play man at a decent level. So that was solid. You see him being more comfortable, a little bit more fluid. Terry and Arnold, always, when you're out there, guys, you're going to see zero and you're going to notice him. He's just fluid. He's always around, technically sound. And you see the footwork is just really stellar to watch in terms of knowing exactly his positioning. So Ennis Rakestraw and Tyrion Arnold, I think you're going to start to see their development day in and day out. And you're going to start to see them being, at least with Ennis Rakestraw, being at the nickel spot, being outside, learning Aaron Glenn's defensive scheme. Mekhi Wingo, I didn't get a chance too much to see because I was looking mostly at the starters, looking at Aiden Hutchinson. So in future days, as they start to ramp up more, each practice goes at like 15 minutes longer over the next 4 days. So we'll get a chance to look more. Who stood out to me because we thought he was injured was Manu. Manu was out there doing his thing. And I think that when you see a player that's that raw, it's interesting because you're going to start to see him develop day by day with his footwork, backing up, moving forward, understanding his responsibility. So Manu just, always sticks out and you pay attention to what he's about. But the thing that he does well is if someone gets around him a little bit, he recovers pretty well. And I think that from my experience talking to his coaches and talking to real sources, they understand that once he gains that confidence, that he knows that, wait a minute, this game is going to slow down for me. And knowing that he's got the physical traits, then he's going to start to dominate. And I think it'll happen in the next 30 days. It's not going to happen in the first week, but over time, as he gains confidence, as he understands that I have the physical tools, I have the abilities, he's going to start to showcase that he can win a lot of battles. And he's just a physical specimen. It's great to see him every day because he sticks out from everybody else. So it's great to see. And then you look at Mekhi Wingo and the opportunities that you see in drills. You love the opportunities that he's going to get, hopefully, to play along this defensive line. So I'm curious to see how a lot of these rookies develop over time, and it's going to be a fun chat in 3 to 4 weeks as they get more acclimated.
6'8" with no gut, Doc. Continue.
No gut.
I don't get it.
Smaller gut than me, and I'm 5'10". So it's tough. Doc, didn't really hear much about Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs today. How did those guys look? Kind of these second-year guys who had massive years last year and big years, especially like a Sam Laporta, second-team All-Pro as a tight end, as a rookie. How was it? Did he stand out? Did he look like he kind of even took a step forward in here, him and Jahmyr Gibbs?
Yeah, I don't think they were targeted quite as much. There was not a lot of reps. I think there was maybe a couple team periods and things like that. I just didn't get a chance to see them make I think those that stuck out were a little bit more of the second group that did things. It was basically just a couple tosses here and there, light work. So it wasn't a heavy load. It wasn't like they were in those moments where you have competitiveness, where it's like second down and you need it, and you didn't get a chance to see that. So it was kind of a lighter day for the top end guys in terms of Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs. But in individual drill, if you saw the video, you saw it was good to at least see Jahmyr Gibbs out at practice because he didn't do a lot during the spring. You saw in our video shot by Cameron that the explosiveness is there, the speed is there, and the confidence is going to be there for Jahmyr Gibbs. But as the weeks progress, it's going to be a good opportunity to see what goes on with the running backs and how they're utilized a little bit more in the pass game and their comfort level too with some blocking, because there's going to be some times where I'm sure Aaron Glenn's going to bring some extra pressure to kind of mix things up against Jared Goff.
And Doc, another one that I have to keep checking in with you on, the guy I've been most critical of by far this offseason, Levi Onwuzurike, and the guy that he's going to be competing for, I think, especially with DJ Reader, if he could possibly miss some time, doesn't look like it, but in that case, big body Broderick Martin. So how did those two guys look? Broderick Martin, Levi O. What they look like today, Doc?
Big body Broderick.
Absolutely. I definitely was on that side paying attention to the drills. Broderick just looked strong. He looked like he took his offseason task of shedding some of that weight and being somebody that maybe wasn't in the best physical shape. I think he took it to heart to gain strength in this defensive scheme. I think he looked professional. He looks a little bit more fluid, a little bit better footwork. You look at Levi Onwuzurike, I like his size being around 300 pounds. I think now that he's got look, man, back injuries are tough, and you may, be able to play, but you're not exactly as explosive as you need to be. I think he looks the part. I think that in a situation in which you have a player that's fighting for his job, you see that added motivation and everything is going in a manner that's going to be successful for him. So again, now here's the tough part. As they say in pajamas, the toughest thing to assess is the offensive line and defensive line, because over the first 4 days, the battle level in the trenches is not there. Like they're blocking, they're focused on the fundamentals, which is footwork, hand placement, technique, but they're not the offensive line and the defensive line are not going full force. They're not getting as physical as the things you see are basically in the first couple of days. You see how crisp are the passes, how good are the route runs, who makes key plays, who splits the defense, things like that. It's, kind of the way you describe it is it's an advanced version of a walkthrough. But as each day progresses, you'll see more and more battles. You'll see more in terms of things that you can see that will relate to how they perform on the field. But the way in which you say early on, first impression, Broderick Martin he's going to be given an opportunity to earn some snaps. And I think he'll take advantage. And Levi is going to fight all the way through. And you could clearly see that those two guys are two guys that when the preseason games start, when it's go time and they're given reps, they gotta show out.
Doc, I want to ask you something not related necessarily to training camp, but something that has to do with the Lions, and that comes in the future. The 18th game being rumored, probably going to happen. What's your thoughts on that possibility and kind of how that affects preseason? Me and Booner talked about this yesterday. There's a side where preseason people say, well, just take a preseason game or two away. But, John, I would argue that preseason game determines whether or not a player, could be any player, has a job in the NFL compared to other leagues. Where are you at with the 18th game coming and how it could affect different teams and players trying to make a roster?
No doubt you formulated that assessment. I asked Dan Campbell that prior to the break, and he said the same thing. He said, look at where the Lions have been in terms of their development from young players. And that third preseason game, it's just really unfortunate that the group that gets affected the most is players that are lower on the depth chart, that are fighting to win roster spots, because you don't get that developmental time. You don't get that chance to wow your coaches or wow others in the league. So it sucks for them. For starters and players, it's great because guess what? They're going to agree to it because the league's going to say, we're going to pay you another game check. And that ends up being a significant amount of dollars. And it stinks, in the end. Here's how I looked at it. I thought the 16-game schedule was perfect. I thought the 16 games in the regular season, perfect, along with 4 preseason games, because I think where, you got a little bit of pushback is, starters didn't want to play anymore. And fans got upset because they're paying full price to see number 3s and 4s battle it out. But in the end, the preseason really is for, I think practice is for the starters and for those that are looking to take the next step in their career. But also preseason games are very valuable to those trying to put good tape on there for not only their team, but for the rest of the league. So I thought the 4 preseason games and the 16 game schedule was perfect. 17 games. You notice too that, and I'm talking selfishly here. I'm a big fan of football, so watching it's great, but when you work in it, each game in and of itself is a significant amount of work, from the predictions that start in the morning to the inactives list to things that you find out in the game, the betting. So for 17 games, the days that are game days, we're putting out sometimes 10, 11, 12, 13 articles in the same day, and people will read it nonstop. So it's the extra work is daunting. I love it because it's rewarding and you guys love to read it. But at the same time, I think that you put so much into it, you're just drained. Like after today, I'm energized talking to you guys, but I'm wore out. Like I put a lot into today because I knew the fans were going to read it at a high pace, and I wanted to show that I can compete with those that are starting their own publications. That, hey, let's just see what I can do in regards to someone that previously has started their own thing and had some success. And I think that, knowing where I stand, I'm comfortable in the work that I do. But 18 games is just another game. And I don't want to be lazy. I don't want to sound lazy, but it's just a lot of work, because then here's the wild part when you get into this job is that by 1 o'clock, by the time the game starts, we already have so much content that's on the site. Then the game starts, and then you have the post game. So you guys, when you guys go on after a Sunday and the game ends at 4, all the reporters are there till 8, 9, 10 o'clock writing and recapping everything that was said by the head coach and all the players and the ramifications and the podcast and everything. So it's just a lot of work. And so you realize that adding that extra game, what that extra 13-hour workday looks like. And it's just, to me, it's daunting. But, I look at it like the way in which, and I can share with you guys, the way in which I kind of do it is during the preseason, I take a week where basically I'm there, but a lot of the writers will do a lot of the bulk of the work. And I take a game in the preseason where I just have one of my writers just cover the game. Like I'm there, I'm in it, but they do the writing. Like I just take a week where I kind of take like a preseason break from all the stuff, because literally starting from last night, I was excited. I got up at 5 a.m. We're going from 5 a.m. to 10, 11, just every single day, just learning about football and being invested in this football team. And I like it, but at the end, it does take a toll. I didn't have this many gray hairs when I started this job 6 years ago, but 18 games is going to be daunting, but it's a challenge. But you guys know I'll rise up to it. But in a moment where you want to be a little selfish, I would love to go back to 16 games.
Hey Doc, I was on the 8 teams. Give me an extra football game, man. I could drink some Kool-Aid for an extra time. I love that. I want to throw this out there too, because obviously the first person you guys spoke with today was Dan Campbell, and that man really, he brought the energy. He was ready to go. It seems like you get the same Dan Campbell no matter what. And he did bring up the path as well. I don't know if you noticed that. He did talk about the path a little bit. I don't know if it was the Booner path or just any sort of path of going to the Super Bowl. What are the kind of expectations here with Dan Campbell? And honestly, just being back in the building with Dan, does he feel like it's like, hey, same old Dan, like he is ready to go? There's no slip ups, and this man's expecting nothing but greatness. Do you guys still get that same feeling being in the building with him?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, first, thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. Comments that like that, like I said, reinvigorate me. That's why I write so much. That's why after meeting my childhood idol today, I came back and wrote up more. So, and I think to do this job, and like I said, one of the early things, you guys know, if the chat knows, I've talked to the guys a lot. I said, just hit record. When you're tired, just keep recording, keep doing the podcast. It's rewarding to push through when you're exhausted. And what gets me through, gets me up in the morning. I got up early. My alarm was set for 6 a.m. today. I got up at 5:15 on my own because I was excited. I didn't want to oversleep and miss the first day because I wanted to talk to Dan Campbell. But knowing you guys read it and enjoy it, and most of the comments that are left here are positive, and you guys understand how much I bring to it and how much I love it. But part of the love is Dan Campbell. Like, he walks in, commands the room. And that lectern was effing hilarious because it actually made him looks a little bit smaller. And the first thing he says is, damn, what kind of lectern is this? This thing is huge. And he comes out and look what he's asked and look what he talks about. It was amazing to listen to. He says, what's the message? And he's like, the message is we are not about our reputation. We're about doing the work. We're about doing what we need to do to keep up what we're about. And he said something that was great. He's like, I've been on teams that won 12 games and then the next year went 7-9. I think he was talking about the Giants when they went 12-4, I think in 2001 or so. And then the following year went 7-9. So he's talking about that team that he was on. And he knows that there's always the risk of complacency, but he understands that right now this football team is expecting to do big things. And in order to do that, you got to do the work. You got to grind. And you got to be about every single day having a championship mentality. And he said it. He put the challenge right to the guys. Right away, day one, Amon-Ra, Panay, this is your team. You guys have been here. You understand what's going on. You understand you're the leaders. You've been given hefty contracts. Lead this football team. And when you have leaders like that, you're in a good spot. And so Dan Campbell is worth the hour drive every single day. I never regret it. Today, I almost was late. It's an hour drive for me. The Southfield effing freeway, 94 was flooded, so I got the report. Man, you're tired and you're driving, but you're like, you know what? I'm going to hear something. Dan Campbell's going to say something. He's going to be motivational. And so I take a lot of energy at 8 a.m. to hear Dan Campbell. And when he speaks, you just feel like, okay, you can see why the players want to run through a wall for him, because I want to write stories about Dan Campbell and write about a coach that I've written that could be one of the next great NFL head coaches in this league, because he's got the first talent, which is get the players to buy in. You can get the players to buy in. You now can captivate a room. And the message is, look, do the work and let's go. And let's start the process of putting together a football team that can win it all. Like I said, until otherwise, if you've read, maybe it was controversial, maybe not. I wrote it. My first power rankings, I got the Lions as number one team in the NFL. Until
no,
you guys didn't.
I did see it. I saw it. Yeah, I saw it, Doc. I did. I read your stuff. Hey, just like you said there for a second.
Right now, until a team starts playing and shows me differently, the Lions are the number one team in the NFL with their offense, defense, special teams, and one of the best head coaches in Dan Campbell. So until I see otherwise, and I did it too, clearly. I want to say that I was a front runner when they started the year, and hopefully they finished the year as the number one team. And so thank you guys for reading it. And look, until otherwise, Dan Campbell's one of the best.
Well, Lucas, did you go yet?
Yeah, just real quick, Doc. I know we talked about the rookies a little bit. What do you see from Vaki today? I know obviously you're running drills with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, so he might look a step behind, but do you think he was holding his own, especially for it being his first real day of training camp?
Yeah, no doubt. Clearly, rookies have a lot given to them. He looks the part out of the backfield. He's given opportunities. He's in a competition with Craig Reynolds. He'll hold his own. Very smart player. I think he's a player that you're going to start to read about that if he makes a mistake, he'll correct it pretty quickly. And I think the fun part is hopefully we get a chance a little bit more to see his personality, because I think David Montgomery let it out that he's a little bit goofy or funny. He's a funny dude in the meeting room. So I want to see how he handles as the competition ramps up, because it's him versus Craig Reynolds. But at the same token, Bam Knight has a chance to get in there too. And Jamar Jefferson still developing as well. But I think Vaki has a nice chance to also add some things on special teams that look, the pathway for him to play this year is special teams. And I think as camp progresses, we'll start to see more of those drills and more of his opportunities that he could get maybe to be in the mix for a returner, battle it out a little bit with Khalif Raymond and see how it shakes out. But he looks like he belongs. He looks like a rookie that when people are going to start to read and take notice of what he can bring to the table, you'll see why the Lions made the investment in him.
I got to ask, Doc, and you mentioned Hendon Hooker earlier, how he had a pretty good day. And we went through and did our top 5 things to watch out for come training camp. One of the things I had was, can Hendon Hooker secure that backup role? I got some flack for it, a little bit of flack, maybe some bias, because I like Hendon Hooker. I think he's definitely better than
we know.
Definitely better than Nate Sudfeld, Doc. That's a right assumption. We can all say Nate Sudfeld very fine at helping Jared Goff prepare him for game day, hold the clipboard, be very supportive. But you don't want that man as your backup quarterback. Do you think that this is something that Hendon Hooker can consistently build on? I know you talked to him and he spoke a lot about that in his day-to-day, but do you think this is the start of something, or do you think it'll be more of that learning curve where he'll have ups and downs throughout training camp? Because he already attended OTAs in minicamp, struggled a little bit. I mean, for a guy at his age, Doc, I expect him to not only continue to play better, but to kind of go anywhere but up.
Yeah, no doubt. And guys, check out the photo at Detroit Podcast. That's the look that the players give me when I ask questions, because, I don't know if they've been told, or they're definitely aware that they have to be careful what they say, because I may, choose a headline or pick apart. Like, I don't take anything out of context, but look how serious he is. And I know with more time, we'll develop that rapport. And to let you know, when I turn off the mic, I have a good rapport with the players. There it is.
Look
so
at the
he's
doc, man.
Yes. He's thinking, okay, he's asking me about the offseason. Yeah, exactly. That's the look that I get from all the players, which is, I got to think clearly and concisely what I tell this man, because if I F up, it's going to be definitely documented. But no, Hendon's great. I just asked him basic questions. I wrote everything I asked him. I asked him, what did you do in the off season? What did you do in the month off? And he said he talked to Teddy, and Teddy talked to him about, working timing with receivers and commanding a huddle. And I understand what that means, which is, hey, know the cadence, know the exact description of the play. Be confident. You may not know jack shit about how the play is supposed to look, but be confident in what's going on. And I think that, the world of the NFL is great. People react to everything. His OTAs was not great, but that's also a sign for him that he clearly got all the things he needs to work on. And so that was the first experience that he had. Now, people may, are forced to draw some conclusions off of that in real time. But I think that right now, from what we're seeing, he's working with the twos, and he's going to be given every opportunity to earn the backup spot. And you look at it like, if something does happen to Jared Goff, Hendon could probably, the goal will be to kind of keep the ship afloat and don't sink it. But I don't think right now you can say that Hendon can win you a game or is going to come in and be a league superstar like Tom Brady was. But the best part is the Lions are telling you, and you have to accept what they tell you. He's developing, and he's developing daily on a daily basis. But I think that the best way to put it is in a fair assessment of how things are. Brad Holmes has a relationship with Hendon Hooker's father. So do you think that he's going to be third on this depth chart after the time invested and the things that he's going to be given? I think he'll be the number 2 quarterback by the time things shake out at the end of training camp. I think he'll be the backup. And plus, guys, you guys know that if he doesn't, you have that emergency third quarterback rule where he can still, be, a player that's available in game situations. So I do think he's going to be the backup. I think that he's going to take the challenge that he's been given seriously. I think he's very bright, very mature, and he's got the intangibles. He's got the skill set. It's just time on task. And let's see over the next 4 weeks with daily practices, working with better players, more confidence. You saw it today. The zip was there. The execution of what he needed to do was there. If he builds on that, a backup just basically has to, in this situation, just has to keep the ship afloat. And you're not going to, if something happens to Jared Goff, you're not going to expect Hendon Hooker to lead you to the Super Bowl. I think, you're going to take flack because people are going to say he's raw and he's not that good just yet, and you need veteran experience. But look, backups very rarely just come in and dominate. They just kind of got to, that's why you got a lot of talent around this football team, is that you kind of just would hand the ball off a little bit more and kind of shorten the playbook a little bit. But, you could move the football with Hendon Hooker. You could move the football to a degree. I think the one thing you would see is maybe a little bit more turnovers that would be impactful. But I think that if Hendon Hooker plays with the ones, I think that a lot of quarterbacks would look good with J-Mo, Amon-Ra, Laporta, Gibbs, and Montgomery. A lot of them would, including Hendon Hooker. So for those that give you flack about Hendon Hooker, just say you don't trust Brad Holmes to eye quarterback talent and pick somebody that he's going to develop. You don't trust the guy that's picked guys that have been developmental players that start to get better. You don't trust Brad Holmes. Come on, I'm starting to. So if Hendon Hooker is a guy that is, given the nod to be the guy learning from Jared Goff and Nate Sudfeld, let's go. Let's see what he's about.
It's fair.
Hey, I've got one last question for you, Doc. Here, I know you've had a long day here out at Allen Park, and I'm not
Doc's
sure.
grinding today.
Are you guys out there all week or every?
Okay, here's the
day?
schedule. Yep, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll be there from practice. Typically, is going to ramp up from about 8:30 till 10:30 by the time Friday, Saturday hits, and then you should be getting observations from me around 12:30 after an hour and a half talking to players. So basically, the information hits from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. We'll be going balls to the wall with coverage. And then, later in the day will be more analysis and stuff that's been said by the players. So, and then news about transactions or things like that. But if you're a morning person, sports websites talking about the Lions will be great because Dan Campbell loves his early practices, which is, for an early riser like me, it's good. But it just stinks now because I'm wired. Like I'm not going to go to bed till like 12. So I got to find a way to kind of get that schedule down. Yeah, that's the tough part.
I do want to ask you this then. I think I know season ticket holders might have a different day, but the public technically will be there next Monday. I think is the first day for the general public that was able to get tickets. Can you just give the people and everyone in the chat who's going, I just want just one thing. Hey, you have to watch out for this battle, watch out for this player. One thing that's like, hey, you cannot miss this. If you're going to training camp next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever it is, make sure you don't miss out watching this player or this battle. Do you have one?
Yeah, the main event. J-Mo versus Carlton Davis or J-Mo versus Terrion. Any battle that Terrion has that matches up, you're going to want to see. I want to see. Hopefully they show it. Amon-Ra St. Brown versus Terrion Arnold. Two GOATs trying to establish their supremacy. They're going to battle each other consistently. So you definitely want to pay attention to the main event. You want to see Jamison Williams clearly. I think in the other type battles, you're going to want to see wide receiver 3, Khalif Raymond. You're going to want to pay attention to Donovan Peoples-Jones. You're going to want to pay attention to, if you can find a way to see it. I know sometimes it might be on the far field. The other main event that is the Battle of the Trenches that everybody looks forward to. You know what? I think that the standard PSA that I give is bring some, I guess I have to check to make sure you're allowed to bring some awesome binoculars, because if you can see Penei Sewell battle Aiden Hutchinson, that is effing amazing. That's hardcore. That's serious when they go and battle in with pads on. It's nice to see because both are trying to win and both are trying to do things. So I'm not sure if I ever saw somebody with binoculars out there, but if you can check and bring them, find a way to be able to see, I think on the far left side of the bleachers, see the line battles. And Aiden Hutchinson, Penei Sewell, if you can see it, it's great. But typically, I think what a lot of fans like at, and you can share with me because I have a different vantage point. I'm kind of tasked with seeing everything and paying attention to a lot of the things. I think the things that's the most fun is the red zone drills. I think when you have the offense at the 3-4 yard line and the defense is trying to stop them, I think that's always fun. People pay attention to that. And clearly, the other thing that people are going to pay attention to is, Jake Bates and Michael Badgley when they kick. People definitely want to see the range of Badgley and Jake Bates and see what's going on there. And then I always think that watching the quarterbacks is always great. Watching a pro like Jared Goff is something that is always worthwhile to see. And the other big part that's fun for a lot of the fans is just afterwards, if you stay and are patient and you don't have to rush out of there, a lot of the players will stay and give autographs. So stick around, have a good time with it. The training camp experience is going to be fun. It looks better. You guys are going to love the bleacher seating. The VIP seating is nice too. And then it's just a great opportunity to see the Detroit Lions football team. But you know what's crazy? A lot of people have been messaging. They're like just upset because they feel like a lot of bandwagon fans gobbled up a lot of tickets. And I got a lot of messages today like, dang, I can't go see a team that I supported for the last 4 years. And they used to get training camp tickets pretty easily, and they got gobbled up pretty fast. I had nothing to say but sorry. And it stings. I just wish I could sneak a handful of tickets and just be like, here, I'm going to give them away. But it does show, I'm grateful that I get a chance to be out there. I don't take it lightly. And that's why if you guys ever have any questions you want Dan Campbell asked, send them to me. I might even throw it out there and ask, because I think it's a privilege to be able to just as a regular person watch the Detroit Lions and be able to be around a football team that's ascending and is one of the most popular in the league. So, and like I said, I don't take it for granted. Every day I walk through, give support to the security and laugh and say, you guys haven't figured out to throw me out yet? And they always laugh and have a good time. So it's a blessing. I hope everybody, if you don't get to go this year, next year, get a chance to see them. But in the end, the season's just around the corner. The games are going to start pretty soon, guys. The 7th.
Hey,
Hall of Fame game on Thursday.
Maybe
this Thursday?
Next Thursday.
I was like, wow, man.
Hey, Doc, hey, Boone, we can help some of those people. We're going to be giving away some tickets to our chat, but hey, we got some extra tickets we want to give away. So maybe we can get in contact with that specific diehard Lions fan and help them out.
Yeah, whoever that was, Doc, if there was someone that reached out who's looking, just let me know. Shoot me a text. I'll send them over to them.
Well, when you see them, you're going to have to pick and choose because the vernacular was a little vulgar, but we'll see. We'll see if that person You'll see it. You'll laugh. And thank you to the person. No, it's an honor to be here. It's I appreciate it, Derek. Listen, I'm somebody that understands that I have a privilege, and I'm only one of like 10 people that's there. And all I can do is try to give as much relevant information as possible within the rules. So the one thing is maybe I got to just do better at is just kind of a little bit more formations and kind of who's playing where. But I always kind of thought that's not exactly in the rules as to say, oh, Brian Branch played safety alongside Kirby today. But, I get it. I don't think it's all terribly that much news that Brian Branch was playing safety because that's what they said they were going to do. But, I love what you guys love to read. You guys are great. And luckily the blessing is that the criticism has been constructive, asking about this or that in terms of coverage. And I even asked Jeff today, I said, hey, if you guys want to read something, let me know, because I can really tailor a report from training camp in so many different ways. I can look at one player, I can look at one unit, but typically it's just what we see for the day mixed in with a lot of what's being said. So luckily, you guys read it. I'm thankful that you keep me in the mix, and I have no problem sharing information with those that want it. It's an honor.
Who's on the podium tomorrow, Doc? Who do you have tomorrow?
Who's on the podium tomorrow? Well, here's the thing, and here's the weakness of my job. Well, we know Dan Campbell will be there at 8, but reporters typically will shoot a text to PR and say who's going to talk. I don't do that. I kind of like to be surprised. Eventually we'll be walking around PR and someone will say, hey, who's talking? And that conversation will take place, but I don't initiate. I know you could do more planning around stuff like that, but I look at it like I can ask any player, any question, anytime. And, I like to kind of keep it a little bit organic and be a little surprised as to who's going to be there. But usually the first week you might get Goff. I expect a couple more rookies will hit the podium in the next couple of days, maybe even Jake Bates. You never know because he's a new player. But I think that, listen, a lot of players, and at this point, being my ranking, I could start to put in requests for these guys, but I feel like I'm low on the totem pole where they'll be like, the new publication wants this guy, so they get that. I'm like, okay, no, never mind. I don't want to have to, hear the excuses of, oh, this guy doesn't want to talk today. It's like, it's organic. They tell me, and I'm cool with writing whoever they put in front of me.
What a dog. What an absolute dog. He doesn't even care. Doc, anywhere, anytime. He's got a question. That's why we love you, Doc. We appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you.
Your ass today.
Let's go,
and
Doc.
I want to say this, and just to let you guys know, okay, because this is, if you think I'm greedy or you think whatever, I want to say this. I have the right for any story for the past 5 years. I have the right to put any story behind a paywall. I have the right. I'm in control of it. I could start a subscription, newsletter, do what others do, but I've always said this. The fan base of Detroit, if I can do anything possible to keep it all free, that's what I'll do. And you've supported me. Yes, you've supported me 1,000%. This show, the chat. I don't, and I don't knock anybody that does that. I understand that's the way you get support and your services need to be paid for. But I will just say, if you're looking for free, excellent Detroit Lions content, come visit. And I think you'll be given enough information to be in the know. I will keep it as long as humanly possible. I don't want you to subscribe to me. I don't want to place a monetary value other than come visit, watch the videos, engage in the process, message me, message the chat, message you guys, and I will keep it free for as long as humanly possible. But remember, I was given the key to say, hey, yeah, if you want to start subscribing, you want to take a story that, like, you want to take the talk you had with Hendon and make people pay for it. I said to the bosses, I said, as long as humanly possible, as long as the support is at this level, I will keep it free for the great citizens of Detroit. Free. All the insights, all the videos, all the insights that I get from there will be free as long as humanly possible, which is probably going to be for the next several years.
Look at you, Doc. It's probably you're real, you're authentic, and you're real.
I don't need your email. I don't need any subscriptions. Just come visit and watch the videos.
There you go. You can check his stuff out. Link will be in the description. Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated for all your Detroit Lions news, especially with training camp. You're going to want to check it out. And Crunch Time for your video form content. And for audio, you got Crunch Time. You got Detroit Sports Podcast. Check out John's stuff. John, we appreciate you. We'll catch you next Wednesday. Keep up the great work.
Legend.
Hey, you're going to be a busy man, Doc, in the future. After all this, a little bit quiets down, at least a day of the weekend. We'll get back on the course. We'll try to figure out a day. But until then, keep up the great work. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I look forward to next week. I can't wait.
Let's do it. There you go.
Appreciate you, Doc. Let's go.
Doc.
Oh, he's gone.
DJ, I told you, he's a flash. You know, he's just it's Doc. You know, it's a bird. It's a plane. It's John Maakaron. It's Doc.
John Maakaron with Hendon Hooker.